Part the Mistveil, Flesh and Blood's 13th set is dropping soon, and I wanted to give my first impressions of what I thought about this product before I've gotten my hands on it, before I've touched the cards and played with the cards, just what my initial impressions of this product are. Now, I am continuously just amazed and astonished how well Legend Story Studios has really balanced all of the different sets over the course of time. This is literally the 13th set of this game, Flesh and Blood. And it's a non-rotating game where any card through the history of time can be played, as long as there's not a hero that's living legend or whatever. But still, all the cards are legal for 13 sets in a row. And you look at these metas of different callings and whatever have you events, and nationals and what have you, road to nationals, and the meta out there seems pretty balanced. Of course you have certain heroes that are a little bit better here and there, but overall, you look at the top 8 and you have a smorgasbord of different heroes, and it's just very interesting to see how well they've balanced the game thus far. And, at the 13th set. So I just wanted to say that in the beginning. I don't think Legend Story Studios gets enough credit for just the ability that they have to make non-rotating game for 13 sets, and the meta and all the cards are relatively balanced, so to speak. Or another way of saying it, it's the best balanced game of trading card games since the history of trading card games. I think there's a very, very big argument of that. And not only that, but they are arguably the best tournament seed out there for all trading card games. And let that sink into you a little bit. So you have the big three who are what? Multi-million, billion-dollar, probably not billion, maybe not Pokemon. It's a very big IP. You have these huge-ass companies who manufacture trading card games just like Flesh and Blood. But yet Flesh and Blood has the top tournament scene out there of all the games. And you wonder, how have they been able to do it in 5 years? And, the answer, of course, is that it's a really damn good game. But it's just very impressive, something that's very not talked about. It's a totally different subject, but definitely worth saying. Now, right off the bat, what I think the focus of this product is really just capturing Japan's market share. Out of all the countries out there, United States being like the most consumers of trading card games, Japan being the second largest. Now, Flesh and Blood has already been in Japan, selling in multiple stores and everything, but there's still a very big market share that they have yet to acquire. Like there's room to grow in that incubator, if you will, in that environment. There's a lot more piece of the pie out there. They are not as proliferated in Japan, right? And I think that this set really targets the Japanese market. And of course, part the Mistveil is in Mysteria. Mysteria is very Asian, scenery and everything. It's very Japanese culture, if you will. You can see it. So this was a very good play, in my opinion, because, with all the sets recently, right? We've been going around to all the different kingdoms, right? And we haven't been to Mysteria yet. So this set is based in Mysteria, part the Mistveil, and I like how they're focusing on a specific aspect. If you look at the other sets in the past, in the last couple sets, you had Bright Lights, which the focus on that was new players. You had Heavy Hitters, which tried to not take itself too seriously and just have fun and was a little bit more casual oriented. And then this is catered to the Japanese market. I think that it's a very smart focus, especially with the theme of the set. Another thing too is Mistveil, right? Mysteria. It's like shrouded in fog and everything. I like the name of it. It's like, hey, something's shrouded. There's a mist. Veil is covering something up. So you're parting the veil. You're opening. You're trying to see behind the curtain. So just good symbolism there, or just imagery, if you will. Now, moving on past the set focus. So the set focus Japan, really like that. I think that if we look at this from a collector's point of view, right? Just I'm a collector. I want something in this product to collect. I think they really have just pivoted to a really good direction starting in this set. The last couple sets, I didn't feel like the products overall had a real pulse on the collectors and really just tried to cater to collectors, if you will. Now, don't get me wrong. The last, however many sets of Flesh and Blood, every set in Flesh and Blood has made beautiful pieces of artwork, and the cards, especially the Marvels and the cold foils, are just very aesthetically pleasing. But there's other things and other concepts like scarcity and what have you that really just entice collectors to just go all in. Meaning, in this, we had the gold packs. Now, the gold packs, I think, is a really good idea. 1 in 20 boxes, you get a gold pack. You open a box and you see a golden ticket, flash in there. This is gonna like jolt the neurons in people's brains all over the world. It's a smart, it's very very smart play. I really like the gold pack, and especially because it just adds a newness and everything. So I like how it surprises people. It's a good thing to add to the product. I like that change. Another thing is the lottery card aspect. So there's apparently a 1 in 100 card that is in the boxes that have been printed. My main thought about this is great for the high-end collectors, or middle to high-end collectors who want something that is just scarce and that has perceived value because it's 1 in 100. I think that's great. Personally, I really hope it's not serialized. I personally don't like serialized cards. I hope it's just, we know it's 1 out of 100 and it looks really fucking cool. That'd be great. So overall, I think that those two concepts of, hey, first thing, a lottery card, 1 out of 100, brilliant move. And then the other one is gold packs. Do something new and exciting that the collectors haven't, seen before. That is also a huge plus in my book. So I think that that two factor recipe is perfect going forward. First thing is create something highly scarce that is a lottery type of mechanism that high-end collectors want, and then the second is make something else for like the medium to lower tier collector that is just spicing it up, something new. You don't have to do gold packs every single set in the future, but just something like to keep people on their toes, right? Because we like the Marvels and everything, but it's nice when you spice it up with a little bit of paprika, something along the way. Each new set has a different spice. I really like it. Now, going into nefarious Bronson mode, I am quite concerned though with the gold packs. Now, I don't think a lot of channels will talk about this, but it's very important, especially for the end consumer, is that I do not know this for sure, but when I heard this, it really concerns me that the gold pack that is in the booster boxes is an extra pack. So it's like a 25th pack. That means it adds additional weight to the box. So if one did somehow have 100 boxes, right, in the room, and they had a very precise kitchen scale and weighed all those 100 boxes and then took the 10 most heaviest boxes, would they most likely get more of the gold packs in those 10 boxes that are heavier because they had that one extra pack? That is what I'm concerned about, is box weighing. And we haven't really had this in Flesh and Blood's history so far. The box, it's really hard to measure the weight because the cold foil and the rainbow foil are, it's a little, like, you can pack weigh, of course, but box weighing hasn't been a thing so far. But I think because you have one extra plastic wrapper and then 2 or 3 extra cards in that, it might be able to be weighed. Or maybe there's gonna be like a bulge in some way, shape, or form. It's too hard to tell at this time. and I'm not the person out there to really say this because I'm not gonna buy 100 boxes. I'm not that well off, or I'm not a store who has that ability. But I think that as my first impressions, this is something I would highly look out for and talk to community members out there. Flesh and Blood. I'm definitely going to talk to community members out there and say, hey, you bought 100 boxes. Do you see this? Like, are you able to weigh this? Because that's very concerning. And if you are a person who buys single booster boxes, it's always good to know the place, know the source you're getting them from, right? So if you're getting them from your local game store, if you know the people and you believe in them, I think that that's really important in these scenarios. And again, I want to stress very hard, I don't mean to make people scared over nothing. I don't mean to be making clickbait material. I don't mean to be falsely accusing things. This is a huge suspicion. I am not 100% sure if this is possible. And I'm at this time just looking out for it. And I think anyone who hasn't purchased product yet should look out for it and maybe consider buying sealed cases, because then you can at least like cover yourself there. That's probably a smart route to take, or just do your due diligence, understand the risks that you have. But anyway, overall, I'm really happy the gold packs exist. I think that it's a really fun little thing, and it definitely will fire a lot of dopamine in people's brains. Moving on, I want to talk about the ready to play box that Legend Story Studios is releasing with this set, right? Part of the Mistveil. I really like the new player boxes. Now, if you look at another product that was released, I think 2-3 years ago, the Classic Battles Dorinthia vs. Rhinar. That new player product was tough because you only got 2 decks. You got a playmat that was paper, and then you got like a lore booklet that was like paper as well. And then the box itself was just a box that you tear open and you throw away. So at the heart of it, you only got 2 decks. Now, granted, there's a couple cards in there that are worth a good chunk of the money there. So I like how they created scarcity in certain Majestic cards in the box. I think it was the one in the Dorinthia deck that's like $30 or $25 consistently. I personally like that. I like how that they didn't create a product where you pay $50 MSRP and you just get hosed, and everything in the 2 boxes is like maybe $6, right? That's not the case. There's a couple cards that were only printed in that add a lot of value to the product. So I like it from that standpoint. But from a new player standpoint, if you think about the initial value you're only getting like those 2 decks, which sucks, right? And the MSRP for Classic Battles was $50. Now let's check into the 2024 product, this new player ready to play box that seems to be very reminiscent to Tolarian Community College Brian's box, right? So for $70, you get 3 packs. You get a playmat that is neoprene playmat, right? You get a nice box like that can hold you 1,000 trading cards, and you get 3 decks, right? You get all 3 heroes decks. So that is a major step up from the $50 Classic Battles decks, right? You get 1 extra decks, you get 3 extra packs, you get a reusable playmat, and you get a box that looks nice and that can hold everything that was aforementioned. And all that is just $20 extra. So the design of the new player product, I think, has drastically improved, and I really like that direction. Something that does concern me of it, though, is are there going to be cards in there in the decks that do have value that could be sold eventually down the line for the player if they want to sell them to maintain value? Or are the decks going to have like just draft chaff, right? Or just like 50-cent card at the max and stuff, and you're only going to get like $10 of value. But even if you don't get that, right? Even if those decks are enough, null and void, you still get the box, you still get the playmat, and you still get the 3-pack. So, you do have incremental value there. And overall, I think it's a solid product, especially for a new player. Spend $70. You could have gotten a booster box, but instead you get like an all-encompassing kit of stuff to play with, and you do get 3-packs, which is nice. So overall, I think that they did a great job with this ready-to-play box for the new players, and I'm interested to see any thoughts out there on new players who buy this and what their thoughts and what their experiences are, because I can play it out in my mind and I think about how it's interpreted, but it'd be really good to find people out there who have gone through this experience and what they thought about the product, and how well their $70 was spent. So yeah, overall, that's really my whole thoughts and opinions on Part the Mistveil. I don't want to make this video too long. Something to note though is if you think about the whole lore, right, of Flesh and Blood, it seems like Katsu, he was part of the Megenshi clan, which means infinite death, which is really badass. I feel like Katsu's clan is in Mysteria, and he's like in this certain section that transcends time. I know that sounds crazy, but his village has like a bunch of illnesses in the village, and he's going out to search for, how to cure the illness. And the last we know, he met up, I believe, with Benji, and he was over there with Azuri in Metrics. I think Azuri has some type of way to cure the people in Katsu's village, but I could be wrong, because Azuri used to be from Mysteria, right? The younger version of Azuri. So I feel like maybe the story's going back, but I didn't really see any card art that really depicted that. It'll be very interesting to see. But another video I made back in the day was interesting. I'll put a link in the description of this video. Was talking about Benji, and I think Benji's a time traveler from the past, and he is coming to the future for some reason as well, but I could be wrong. It's fun to dig into it and think about the different things that are at play, because recently in an interview with James White and Flukenbox, really good interview, James White said the lore writers had to take a break from writing the lore, and they still haven't figured out how to backfill the writers for the lore. But even still, there's a lot of intricacies in the lore that have already been fleshed out in the card art and everything that's happening. There's a whole timeline and the storyline that's already done. It's up to us as players and collectors and people in the community to look at what's happening and figure out piece by piece, little puzzle pieces by puzzle pieces. It's been one of the most mind-numbing thing I've done in the Flesh and Blood realm, but it's also been pretty rewarding when you like tinker and figure things out, or have some weird ass theory that may or may not come true. Who knows what Benji's up to? I don't know if he's a time traveler or not, but it's cool to like theorize and what have you. And I listed out a bunch of stuff in that other video about that, but I think Katsu in particular, when you think infinite death, infinity is a concept of time. And then also, there's a lot of verbiage in the lore writings about time. When Katsu's talking about, to the village elders and stuff, they say like, it wasn't the right time, but since you did that, now is the right time. Probably sound crazy, but just have to read the lore to understand that reference. Anyway, that wraps it up. I know this video has been pretty long. Pretty hyped about Part the Mistveil. I look forward to opening boxes and get myself on, touching cards, and then I probably have a little bit more informed take on the whole situation. But cheers, man. Have a good one.